Hello, folks. Welcome to the third video in the Powers and Exponents uh, video series. Today is going to be a quick one. We're just going to talk about how exponents fit into the order of operations. And we probably already know this, but it's a good refresher because going forward, we're going to look at some rules and understanding the order in which we do things is important to understanding why the rules work the way they do. So first thing I'm going to talk about is adding, subtracting. Then we're going to talk about multiplying, dividing, and that's it for today. So when I'm talking about doing my order of operations, again, I've said this in a past video, but we know BEDMAS. We know how it's supposed to work. Brackets come first, then exponents, then multiplication, then division. Sorry, well, multiplication and division work in the same group, right, from left to right, and then addition and subtraction the same way. So just making sure that we all get that, let's take a look at these three questions and just kind of how they're similar and how they're different. So the first question here says 3 to the power 3 plus 2 to the power 3. And powers are repeated multiplications, meaning that this 3 to the power 3 is 3 times 3 times 3, and this 2 to the power 3 is 2 times 2 times 2. And because there's an addition separating the two, there's not much that we can do with that. As long as we're doing our order of operations in the correct order, we should get the right answers. So for the example, 3 to the 3, we're going to do those exponents first. So that's 27. And then 2 to the 3 is 8. And then 27 plus 8 is 35. Okay, and that's it. There's not much more that I can do with a question like that. We simply just have to make sure that we're doing all of these in the right order. Okay, part B. Now the 3 minus 2 is put to the power 3. So again, be careful, right? We are not saying we're going to do 3 minus 2 first and then put it to the power 3. Order of operation tells us to do the 2 to the power 3 first, which is 8, and then we do the subtraction. So 3 minus 8 is -5. Okay, part A and part C look like they are similar, and this is a really common mistake that students like to make. They see this 3 outside the bracket and they think, oh, well, can't I just take that 3 and bring it into my bracket so we get 3 to the 3 plus 2 to the 3? And the answer is no. You actually can't do that, right? Because powers are repeated multiplications, they don't work nicely with additions. There is a way to what we call expand this bracket, but it's something that you'll learn at a later time. So again, keep it simple. You are simply just going to do order of operations. So if it did work that way, if we do 3 to the 3 and 3 to the 2, if we could expand it that way, we'd actually get back to question A. And we know that question A, the answer is 35. So let's apply our order of operations here and see if we still get 35 or if we get something different. So order of operations says we want to do brackets first and then exponents, right? So we're going to do the addition that's inside of our bracket. So 3 plus 2 is 5, and then we'll put that to the power 3. Now 5 to the power 3 is 5 times 5 is 25, times another 5 is 125. And we clearly see that 5 to the power 3 equaling 125 is not the same as our question A. So that means that this thing right here cannot not equal to 3 to the 3 plus 2 to the 3. Okay. I'm going to emphasize this just a little bit because this is something that I see kind of as a math teacher, students do a lot is they think that they can just turn this into this, and that's not how it works. So we really have to be careful about that. And we can see that that's not how it works because of my two answers here. Now, when it comes to multiplication, on the other hand, powers can go into multiplications, but we have to be careful about its only going into a multiplication. So for example, I do see a multiplication here, and I do see this 3 is being put to the power 3, but the multiplication is not being put to the power 3. It's just the -3. And I do see this square up here, but we have a minus inside that bracket. So we really have to be careful about how we go about putting a power into a bracket or not. So in this case, with these types of questions, what I would suggest is always just do the question using your order of operations. So in part A, we're going to go inside our bracket first, and we're going to go and we're going to look at all of the different things that are happening inside this bracket, and we see that we have an exponent. So we'll start there. So this thing is 2 times -3 to the 3 is -27, minus 6, and then that's all squared. Now, again, still inside my bracket, we're going to perform this multiplication, and we get 2 times negative 27. I don't know why I wrote the 2 again, but we're actually going to do that answer. So 2 times negative 27 is negative 54 minus 6. And again, it's all squared. And then we do our subtraction. So negative 54 minus 6 is negative 60. And now we're left with one number being squared. And again, because our base is negative, because the negative is inside my bracket, this is negative 60 times negative 60, which is 3,600. All right, great. Let's take a look at question B now. So again, we have to consider our order of operations before we do anything. So we're going to deal with this bracket first. So inside my bracket, I see I have 2 powers. I have an 18 squared and I have a 5 to the power of 0. So 18 squared, you just give me a second, do some mental math here. So 10 times 10 is 100, and then we get 80 and 80 to 60 plus 8 times 8, which is 64, so 324, plus 5 to the 0, which we learned in the last video is simply just equal to 1. And then that whole thing squared divided by negative 5 to the 3 is negative 125. Great. 324 plus 1 is 325 squared divided by negative 125. Now, I'm not even going to attempt to do 325 squared in my head. I'll grab my calculator for that. So 325 squared is 105,625. So 105,625 divided by negative 125. And again, I'm not going to try to do that in my head. So we'll divide it by 125. And we get negative 845. And there we go. There's our answer. So making sure that we are applying our order of operations is really important. Don't try to skip steps. Don't try to think that things can expand in a certain way until we've learned that and you've had a chance to practice it. So for now, just make sure that you're applying your order of operations in the way that you already knew that that's how they were supposed to be applied. All right, that's it for today, and I'll see you in the next video.